Okay, so it's not time to full out panic. Okay, it's not time to panic. It's not time to run around in circles and scream, we're out, we're done, season's over. But it's time to be a little bit urgent. And yes, Cincinnati, I am talking to you. It is time to be a little bit urgent. I wouldn't say full out panic, but fans of Cincinnati players, management, coaching staff, I wouldn't say full out panic, but urgently, because now we're entering week 4, come up with something because it's time to be a little bit urgent. Don't panic, but let's get starting being urgent a little bit. You'll figure out what I mean in this episode. Welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris. Whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, listening on Podbean, or listening on Apple, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X, Instagram, and Facebook, just type in Pigskin Frenzy. Follow, like the pages there. You're going to get episode updates. You're going to get news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories. Go and answer today's NFL question as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, check out the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you'll find all things up to date about Pigskin Frenzy. Home and About Me page. Learn more about me as your podcast host. There's contact info down there, name, email, question. I'll get to it on the show or off air if need be. There's our platforms page, all the platforms I just mentioned. Go and click on that page. You'll find out which platforms are favorite to follow on or listen on, as well as our affiliations page, which brings us to our proud partners at the Beard Club. Guys, if you want a great shave, I know my stubble's kind of growing back, but it's kind of close to my face. Kind of trying to keep it that way and keep it clean cut to my face because of the Beard Club products. Significant others are your male counterpart. Listen up. You're not going to want to miss what I'm having to say right now. Guys, the beard grooming kits are insane. So are the beard growthing kits. Beard growth kits, beard grooming kits are insane. Beard balm, beard oil, beard and face wash. There's a comb, board bristle brush, oil, 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. The Beard Club sells that. Body wash, loofahs, and more at the Beard Club. Just go to my website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you'll find all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy, but also go to my affiliations page. You'll click on the Beard Club logo, and it'll take you to the Beard Club site. Also, my link tree. Click on the description of this YouTube video down below. You will click on it, go to the link tree. You'll go to the Beard Club site from the link tree. Link tree is also on my X bio, my Instagram bio, and my Facebook bio. Click on that link tree, click on the link, and you'll go to the Beard Club site. The Beard Club has a customer appreciation sale going on right now, 25% off with the code LOYALTY. Loyalty is the code, LOYALTY, loyalty, 25% off, code loyalty with the customer appreciation sale at the Beard Club. Beard Club, proud partner of Pigskin Frenzy. Thank you for being our proud partner of the podcast, the Beard Club. NFL Day today. I started off that episode, and by the way, if you're watching on YouTube, it is beautiful and bright outside. Sorry if you can't see the top of my head because it's glaring, but the other day you could probably see it. It was still beautiful, but it's just the window, time of day, it's sunny. Yeah, it's bright. But I hope that it wouldn't distract you from, you can still see my body, my headphones, mic, everything in the backdrop. So anyway, but everyone's doing okay on this beautiful Thursday. I started off that episode talking about Cincinnati. We're going to get to Cincinnati because there's a good bit to unpack here. We got a loaded NFL show, and it's pretty loaded. We got a lot of people on the injury report again. The injury reports, we're going to need to talk about it and just discuss it. I mean, there's a lot of games we're going to talk about. We're going to recap the week 3, the top games of week 3. We're going to preview and predict the top matches of week 4. We have a doubleheader this week, but we're not doing the doubleheader. We're doing one Monday Night Football game. We're doing, another Sunday Night Football game. And because the Sunday Night Football games in September have been fantastic, as well as 2 1 Eastern, 12 Central kickoff games coming up Sunday as well. So, without any further ado, let's recap week 3, shall we? And let's get in on with the show here. So let's discuss it. Let's talk about it. Let's dive deep into this loaded NFL show of Pigskin Frenzy today. So let's kick it off with Eagles at Saints. And by the way, it's funny because on the college episode, I was 3-1. NFL, completely different. I was 1-3. Did not do so hot on my picks this week for NFL, but hopefully we can change that this week. But 1-3 on my picks. Everyone was saying, dude, you didn't pick the Saints to beat the Cowboys, and the Saints destroyed the Cowboys. And I was like, fine, you're right. I did not. I thought Dallas was going to win at home. Saints blew them out. This week, I will cover the Saints and Eagles game. I will pick the Saints to win. Guess what? I was wrong. The Eagles upset the Saints in New Orleans, 15-12. 15-12 was the final score. Eagles 15, Saints 12. My goodness. Just when I thought that I was going to get it right, maybe I don't get it right. It happens. It's just my luck, right? It's just my luck when it comes to the NFL this year. A lot of it you just don't really know. Okay, so Eagles 15, Saints 12. Let's dive deep into it. The Eagles ran the football really well, okay? The first half, not so hot. Second half, Saquon Barkley went off. Let's talk about Saquon Barkley. He was the biggest factor in this. If you want to talk about running the ball, compared to the Saints, 172 rushing yards for the Eagles, 89 rushing yards for the Saints. They averaged 6.9 yards per play. They passed the ball more, 460 yards total of offense for the Eagles. Man, oh man, Saquon Barkley was a savage in this game, as the young kids say. He was an absolute animal. 147 yards, 2 touchdowns on the day for Saquon Barkley on the ground. He averaged 8.6 yards per carry. 8.6 yards per carry. Imagine that. That's a second and 2, and then a first down. And then another 8 yards on top of that. So if you add those two up of combined 2 plays, that's 16 yards, right? So he's an animal. Saquon is an absolute freak, and he's been an absolute freak since he joined the Philadelphia Eagles. He was a big part of this game. Jalen Hurts was a big part as well. He only had 1 interception, no touchdowns. He was 25 yards on the ground. He was 311 yards through the air, but Dallas Goedert was a big part of this offense. The tight end, 10 receptions with 170 yards. Good job by Dallas Goedert for just being a big part of the passing game in this game. It was a slow first half for the Eagles. They got back into it with the help from Saquon Barkley. The Saints defense could not stop Saquon Barkley, even though the Saints defense had some good tackling on the day. They had a good turnover from Tyrann Mathieu as well. And if you want to talk about, tackling for the Saints, big time game for Paulson Adebo. Paulson Adebo had 10 total tackles on the game. He was very, very good for the Saints defense, and playing in the secondary for the New Orleans Saints. But Saquon Barkley's running ability was crazy. He had a 21.6 miles per hour speed. That's like the 3rd fastest run of his career for a touchdown in the game. It was quite impressive. He's just a madman. He really is. He stepped it up to another level since joining the Eagles. I think the running ability is what helped them. What did not help them was the penalties. I think the penalties were almost going to cost them this football game. That's what kept them in it, from the whole game, was the penalties. They had 7 penalties, for 45 yards. They had 2 turnovers. The turnovers were a little rough. I think the time of possession was good and everything else was good, but the 7 penalties for 45 yards and the 2 turnovers could have cost them in this game with how explosive that New Orleans offense has been so far this season. So if you want to talk about it and look at it, I think the bottom line is this. They couldn't stop Saquon. That's one. And they played well up front. I think they played well up front. They came in, the defense came in clutch when needed to be, because they didn't come in clutch against Atlanta at the start, part of the gap, ending of the game. They finished strong, which is one of the keys I said last week. They had to finish strong, and they finished strong. So I'm just gonna just sit here and say that the Eagles did a job well done. It wasn't perfect by no means, but it was a successful day at the office for the Philadelphia Eagles. They finished strong. Saquon went crazy in the second half, and the Eagles got the job done, and they finished strong. Eagles won this game 15-12. That was the Eagles recap. Let's talk about the Saints really quick before we move on to the Sunday night football game between the Chiefs and the Falcons. So let's talk about the Saints. Started off fast. What went down? I think they kind of slowed down on the running game, and I think that's what a little bit cost them the game. Interception late is what cost them the game as well. They were efficient on third down, somewhat efficient on third down, so that wasn't the problem. It was kind of a back and forth game, but I think taking Alvin Kamara out of the game and just throwing the ball more and more was kind of something, something left kind of like meh, right? I think the Eagles defense played really, really well in this football game. Don't get me wrong. I think the Saints defense played well in the game too, but the Eagles defense found a way to kind of slow them down. They kind of neutralized the run game, kind of slowed it down to make Derek Carr beat him through the air. And Derek Carr was somewhat successful, but also they brought him back down to some inconsistency, and he made some inconsistent timing passes in the second half. The secondary was on the receivers. The defense, Vic Fangio's defense, played really, really well in this game, and I think that is the main reason why the Saints' offense kind of was like in a little bit kind of in disarray late in the second half of this game. I think the running game really could have helped them in this game. I think Alvin Kamara not running the ball kind of hurt them a little bit. Let's look at the notes. Talk about what Alvin Kamara had. He had 87 yards. Yes, he had 3.3 yards per carry. In the other two games, he was lights out. He was balling out. They utilized him in the best way possible, but they threw the ball a little bit more. 14 for 25, touchdown and 142 yards with a pick was Derek Carr's numbers. Not the best. The defense just kind of stepped up for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's okay. You're going to come across defenses that are really, really good in the National Football League. It just happens. We're going to talk about some good defenses here a little bit in the show. But if you want to look at this game, I think the big problem was the running game was isolated and taken out, and then that's when the Eagles defense took over on this offense. Other than that, there was really nothing going on. The defense did well in tackling. They got a turnover, but they forced some penalties too. But they could not stop Saquon. The running defense was nowhere to be found because Saquon is a hard man to stop. I think from the factors of Saquon, I think from the factors of your own running game getting taken out, I think the factors of that defense just finding a way to contain the playmakers and put some pressure and cause a little bit of disarray to Derek Carr's consistent rhythm is what cost the Saints this football game. And that's really much all you got to really say about this football game. It was mainly the Eagles just being the better team that day. And I think that's really the accurate thing right now. The Eagles were the better team that day. That's really all I got to say. I mean, final score was 15-12. Eagles beat the Saints. The Saints have a tough game going into Atlanta Sunday. We're going to cover that game, by the way. The Saints at the Falcons, an NFC South divisional matchup. The Eagles go into Tampa Bay. The Eagles are on the road again to Tampa Bay. Both 2-1 in a playoff rematch from last season. So two big, 1 Eastern, 12 o'clock Central kickoff games this Sunday coming up. We're covering both. So I'm excited to cover both of those games. But the final score of that game was, Eagles 15, Saints 12. Eagles defeat the Saints, go to 2-1. Saints go to 2-1 as well. Let's see what they do against the Falcons. Let's see what the Eagles do against the Bucs after the Bucs come off of a loss to Denver. Okay, Sunday Night Football was quite interesting, right? I thought it was interesting, at least. It was a jam-packed Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta, Georgia. The Falcons on Sunday Night Football for the first time since 2019. Kirk Cousins, after that game-winning drive against the Eagles, hyped up, ready to go, ready to take on the best QB in the league, the best QB in the world, and Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, ready to rock and roll. First, the Falcons started off hot. I picked the Falcons to win this game. Falcons were starting off hot until the Chiefs found a way to get into the game a little bit. The defense got into it a little bit. Sure, were there some missed calls? Absolutely. But at least this game did not end with officiating. It ended with the Chiefs just being better that night. Final score was the Chiefs. As I, go to my notes. Final score was the Chiefs. If I can go back to my notes, there we go. If the final score, Chiefs 22, Falcons 17. I was wrong about this game. I thought the Chiefs were going to slip up. Final score, Chiefs 22, Falcons 17. Let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. The refs did not come into effect. They did come into effect at the very end. I'll talk about it in a minute, but not at the deciding outcome. The deciding outcome, everyone's going to sit there and say, it was going to be Kirk Cousins threw to Kyle Pitts into the end zone. It was PI. Yes, it was PI. It should have been an automatic first and goal at the one. Automatic first and goal at the one. They should have ran it in, touchdown Falcons, or a field goal or whatever. I think that it was PI on Cook. I think it was. I will wholeheartedly admit that it was PI on Cook. But it's not what decided it's not what determined the game, because they ended up getting the ball back, and the Falcons got the ball back, right? And they went down the field and made a very bad play call at the end. So the loss was one on the Chiefs. The Chiefs played good defense on the very last play, played very good defense. Steve Spagnuolo called a very good defensive game. That's one. And two, bad play call by Zach Robinson, Raheem Morris, and the Atlanta Falcons at the end of the game. That's what decided the game. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute. Chiefs, let's talk about them. Mahomes, and I don't know if it was Mahomes. Mahomes had 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, played a little bit better than he did against the Bengals, but not to the same rhythm of how Mahomes normally would play, but he played a lot better than he did. 26 for 39, 217 yards, 2 touchdowns. Isaiah Pacheco, nowhere to be found, obviously, because he's hurt. Carson Steele, the undrafted free agent out of Ball State / UCLA, signed with the team this offseason, elevated from the practice squad, is now a full-time member of the team, played really, really well, 72 yards, didn't have any touchdowns, but he was really, really good in the running game with 72 yards. Not a bad start for an undrafted rookie free agent out of Ball State and UCLA, right? Played really, really good on the road and showed some good maturity and poise for, being his, third game in the league. So good on Carson Steele. Samaje Perine, 25 yards on the ground. They do have to get the running game going a little bit and find a way to get that running game going now that Pacheco's out. But I think Carson Steele is going to be a problem maybe for defenses, because he's got that power about him. And I think with that power running ability that he's got, I think that's going to help the Chiefs out in some big ways in the near future. So Mahomes did really, really well. Rashee Rice obviously had another fantastic game, 110 yards, 12 receptions, and a touchdown. He was the main go-to receiver for Mahomes. We don't know any legal action or legal issues going on right there, but we're going to figure out that as soon as we can. Kelsey, 30 yards receiving. Worthy had 17 yards. Smith-Schuster had 17 yards and a touchdown. So it was okay. It was okay. The receiving was not bad. They utilized Worthy a little bit, but not much. I think they need to utilize Worthy a little bit more to get the full effect of that offense. But Mahomes was in total command of that offense. He led them down to the field to either kick a field goal with Harrison Buckner or score with Smith-Schuster or Rashee Rice. He was in command of that offense, and the Falcons were having trouble slowing them down, and especially and the one thing that I like the Chiefs in this game was they won on third down a lot. They were 6 out of 14 on third down efficiency. That was pretty good. It was pretty solid, not too great, but not too bad either. They won on third down when need be, and that's what can kill the Falcons. The Falcons have trouble on third down, and I think that was the problem with the Falcons. We're going to discuss that here in a little bit with the Falcons, but the Chiefs did really, really well in that regard. So Kelsey, needs to be utilized a little bit more. I think he needs to be utilized a little bit more. He has 69 yards to start off the season, and we're entering week 4. Usually, he has more than that. He has more than that. He dropped a lot of passes this past Sunday. He caught one pass, but they ended up running on him and tackling him. Kelsey's headspace. I don't know whether his headspace is there for the football season or not. There's been rumors of Travis Kelce saying and this is per The Athletic, all credit goes to them, that he's got 1 or 2 more good seasons left in him as a player. I don't know what's going on or not, but he's not starting off the best of his abilities now. This is my honest thoughts. I kind of think that if it happens this season, like three-peat for the first time ever for an NFL team, no one's three-peated before. If he three-peats, I'm kind of thinking he's done. That's just my opinion, but take that as you will. That's just my thoughts. I think he would be done if they three-peated, but we don't know if that's going to happen or not. We'll see. Kelce not playing to the best of his abilities right now. I think he needs to step up. He usually is a big part of that offense, and a big part of that offense is missing right now, and that's Travis Kelce. They don't have that umph in their offense, and Kelsey's that umph, right? Rashee Rice has been filling the void, which is good, and Xavier Worthy can fill the void too. Mahomes and everybody seems to be all in. Kelce doesn't seem to be in the right headspace right now. So let's see how they can get Travis Kelce involved a little bit more. We're not covering a Chiefs game this week, so I don't really know how it's going to work out with the Chargers this Sunday, but we'll figure it out. So that's one. That's one. If you want to look at penalties, the refs were very fair in this game. 6 penalties for the Chiefs. Chiefs got to do better at committing penalties, at least on the road. Now, an Arrowhead could be a little bit different, but at least on the road, the Chiefs committed a lot of penalties. 6 penalties. That was very undisciplined of them. So they committed penalties. The refs were fair. They missed some calls, yes, but they were very fair towards the Falcons and the Chiefs. Both had 6 penalties on the game, so both very, very fair. Chiefs defense stepped up in big ways, which included the last play of the game where they made that big 4th and inches stop on Bijan Robinson, and that's what iced the game away and made 22-17. Defense made some good calls. I think that McDuffie was solid in some areas. I think Nick Bolton was the main reason. I think Shamari Connor was really, really good as well. Nick Bolton was good. Shamari Connor had 10 total tackles and a pick. Nick Bolton had 8 total tackles. If you want to look at Brian Cook, he had the PI call, but he also had 8 total tackles in this game. The defense played really, really good. Steve Spagnuolo called a really, really good game for the defense. So the defense stepped up in big ways as well. So the final score of this game was Chiefs 22, Falcons 17. The game was not decided by the refs, at least in my opinion, but take it as you may. Chiefs 22, Falcons 17. Let's talk about the Falcons a little bit, and let's talk about how they played. Just briefly talk about them, I guess, but because we got to talk about the other 2 games and injury report and, the other 4 games that we're previewing and predicting. But let's talk about the Falcons a little bit. Here's my deal. You didn't convert a lot on 3rd down. I think that was a big issue for the Falcons in this game. They started off hot. They scored early. Cousins drove down the field, did a slot fade to Drake London, and Drake London scored a touchdown, bring them up 7-0 first part of the game. Other than that, the Chiefs started competing more on defense, and Steve Spagnuolo called a really good game. Like I said, I thought this was probably this is the best game he's called so far this season. If you want to look at the 3rd downs, they barely converted on 3rd down. 2 for 9 on 3rd down efficiency for the Atlanta Falcons. Could not convert a lot on 3rd down. They had a punt. They had penalties, which they did not need. They have some injuries that we're going to discuss with the injury report later. That's not good at their O-line. The Chiefs neutralized their running game with 82 yards. They couldn't run the ball as effectively. There were 2... They didn't sack Mahomes at all, but Cousins got sacked twice. A pick was thrown 2 for 9 on third down efficiency. That was a really big area there. They weren't very efficient on third down, and they didn't win on third down. I think they got to win on third down Sunday. That's for sure. To keep drives going, they couldn't keep drives going. That call on Cook, it was definitely PI. But they got the ball back. They played some good defense on Mahomes. They did. They got a pick from Mahomes. Justin Simmons played really good against Mahomes. Got his 6th pick against Patrick Mahomes. So they did really, really well on defense. They made some stops on defense as well. So good on the Falcons. They really did. It's just they didn't capitalize on a lot of drives. And I think the capitalization is what hurt them as well. They got the ball back. They love to run outside zone, like with Bijan Robinson. They love to run the ball on the outside to get the first down. And Steve Spagnuolo saw it coming. They ran the ball, tried to run some clock out so then they could eventually score a touchdown and ice the game that way. So the Chiefs and Mahomes didn't have enough time to get the ball back. And it was 4th and inches. It bled into 4th and inches. The play call from Zach Robinson and Raheem Morris. It wasn't, do a trick play, bootleg. Kirk Cousins rolls out, gets the first down that way through his legs, or throws it to Jake London or Kyle Pitts that way, or Tyler Aguilar. No, it wasn't. Or was it Bijan right up the middle? Guess what they called? Outside zone. Predictable as can be. Outside zone. They studied tape before this game. They knew what y'all run on short inches, like inches plays, on short, third down, second down, short plays. If he had short yardage to gain, they know y'all run outside zones. So be a little bit different. Run on the middle, or do a fake screen, RPO screen, a slip pass, a sneak, something, draw play, something. A bootleg, play action, something. Run something else that's different. You ran an outside zone. Bolton called on. Bolton tackled them, made the game-winning tackle, game over. And the Chiefs won the game 22-17. It was on the Falcons. The game decided was on the Falcons. It wasn't the refs. The Chiefs earned it. The Chiefs did play good defense. Great call by the Chiefs. It wasn't decided by the refs. The Chiefs won that game fair and square. It was on the Falcons for calling a bad play. They called a predictable play. They knew it was coming. He ran to the outside, and they got him. So, final score of this game was 22-17. Falcons got to do a lot better at play calling, winning on third down, and attacking downfield and being more aggressive. I think they were kind of hesitant in a lot of areas as they were playing the Chiefs in this game. So be a little bit more hesitant, attack, and you just be a lot better in that regard. So final score of this game was 22-17. Chiefs to beat the Falcons on Sunday Night Football. Falcons got the Saints Sunday. We're going to discuss that here in a little bit. Chiefs and Chargers, that's Sunday. Let's see how both teams do in that matchup as well. 2 more games, the Monday Night Football doubleheader. You guys said I didn't do Monday Night Football games, but guess what? I do Monday Night Football games, and we're going to discuss that one. We're going to discuss the Bills and the Jaguars first. The only game I got right, and boy, was I right. My Lord. After seeing that game, it was almost like I did not know what to say. I was left speechless. I didn't know what to say coming on to do this show on Thursday today. Final score of this game was Bills 47, Jaguars 10. It was a beating. It was the worst blowout of this weekend, of this week 3 for the NFL. The Bills, they're talking about the Bills overall looking like the best team in the league right now. Right now, according to NFL Power Rankings, they are ranked number 1 ahead of the Chiefs. They're 3-0. Josh Allen, favorite early right now, and he's favored early to win the MVP award. If he keeps playing the way he's playing, he might win his first MVP award. If they play like that and get over the Chiefs hump, there's going to be some problems, and the Bills could actually be a solid football team in the playoffs could be going to February in the Super Bowl. That's their mission. So let's talk about the Bills. Started off fast. Lights out. I mean, there's really nothing to say here with the Bills and the Jaguars. I mean, they started off fast. They really did. They started off fast, scored, touchdown, boom. That was Josh Allen's first touchdown. Dalton Kincaid down the field, boom. It was just, I mean, in the first quarter, if you want to go by score by quarter by quarter, Buffalo 13 in the first, Jaguars 0. Second quarter, Jaguars 3, Buffalo 21. Halftime, Jaguars 7, Buffalo 3. Fourth quarter, 0. Jacksonville, 10 points for Buffalo. 47-10 final score. You want to look at this game. Josh Allen went off. He played like a madman. 23 for 30, 263 yards, 4 touchdowns. My goodness. He played lights out. He ran the ball well, 44 yards. James Cook had a touchdown. Ray Davis had a touchdown as well. 39 yards for Cook. 22 yards for Davis on the ground. They ran the ball well. Not, too bad. They didn't have a total like annihilation of a running game, but 122 yards got the job done between Allen, Cook, and Davis. So it was pretty good. Khalil Shakir, 72 yards, a touchdown. Dalton Kincaid got a touchdown. Ty Johnson got a touchdown. Keon Coleman got a touchdown. You get a touchdown. I got a touchdown. You get a touch. Just sharing the ball around the field. 4 total touchdowns for Josh Allen. Curtis Samuel got some love as well. Damar Hamlin starting at safety finally. A year and a half ago, went into cardiac arrest on Monday Night Football. He gets an interception. He picks off Trevor Lawrence in this game. So good moment for Damar Hamlin, and good. He played really, really well with 5 total tackles in this game. Von Miller got a sack in this game as well. He came off the bench and got a sack on Trevor Lawrence. The Bills' defense, Gregory Rousseau, this defensive line was all over Trevor Lawrence. It's all over Trevor Lawrence. He's playing lights out. This Bills defense was. The Jaguars defense couldn't do a whole lot. The passing game, balanced offense. The Bills were just moving the ball at will. They looked really, really good doing it as well. So, Bills had 6 penalties. I didn't really like that about the Bills, but the Bills punted once. They kept the ball. It was clean. They protected the football. Josh Allen had a problem with turning the ball over last year. He has done none of that this season so far. They were efficient on third down, 6.5 yards per play compared to Jacksonville, 3.5 yards per play. The basics, from the fundamentals to the hard stuff, the Bills were all over the field. They played a complete game on both sides of the ball, including special teams. That's all you got to say about the Buffalo Bills. They were solid. They looked like they were ready to contend, and if they keep playing like that and get over that Kansas City Chiefs hump, regardless if it's in Arrowhead, regardless if it's in Orchard Park, if they beat Patrick Mahomes in the regular season, in the playoffs, that's a team that can make it to February. All right, so it can make it to New Orleans in February. So just watch out. Final score of this game was 47-10. There's really nothing to say. Buffalo was a complete team. I rank them number 1 right now in the NFL as a complete team. Right now, we were worried about the receiving core. Shakir's taking care of that. Keon Coleman's taking care of that. Johnson's taking care of that. Kincaid taking care of that. Curtis Samuel is taking care of that. Valdez Scantling is also taking care of that. Doing really, really good receiving the ball and catching the ball and playing fast and starting off fast with those receivers. Underrated receivers and an underrated receiving core is now being thought of in Buffalo. So 47-10 was the score there. Let's move on from Buffalo. They're the number 1 team right now in the NFL, currently 3-0 as they enter Sunday Night Football. We're going to cover that game later on in this episode. But let's talk about Jacksonville really quick before we move on to the Commanders and Bengals game. What do you say about Jacksonville? Literally, what do you really say about Jacksonville? Dan Orlovsky put it best when he called the game Monday night. They have to go back to attention to detail. The details of everything was bad. There was no attention to detail whatsoever. He was right on that. There was no poise, no energy, no headspace. They didn't look good. Really moving the ball. Travis Etienne had 68 yards. Johnson had, Dearness Johnson had 12 yards. Tank Bigsby had 9. Trevor Lawrence had 178 yards through the air, a touchdown and a pick. Mac Jones came in late. He had 22 yards, and he had a fumble. They were all over him, too. Christian Kirk had 79 yards. Brian Thomas had 48. You get the drift. Gabe Davis had 18 yards. It just really, really wasn't good at moving the ball. They had a touchdown late, but they really, really couldn't get anything going downfield. Like, the defense was all over them. They didn't look good. They got beat on the line of scrimmage. They didn't look physical. The coaching they were out-coached by Sean McDermott's staff. Doug Peterson's staff was out-coached by Sean McDermott's staff, and they just didn't look poised. They didn't look into it. They didn't look like they wanted to be there. A lot was missing from the Jacksonville Jaguars. 0-3 to start off the year. Something is missing down in Jacksonville. They are dead last in their division, that's for sure. I don't know what the big problem is right now. Their defense isn't all there. If you want to look at the stats, go and look at them. They're at the bottom of the totem pole. 92 rushing yards. They were 2 for 13 on third down efficiency. They couldn't win on third down to save their life. They punted twice. They got sacked 5 times. That was a big issue. Their O-line could not block and protect Trevor Lawrence at all. 5 sacks allowed in this game. 0 sacks allowed for Josh Allen. Jacksonville did not, if you want to go to their defense, did not, and I repeat, did not rush Josh Allen. They didn't pressure Josh Allen. They didn't put any sort of rush on Josh Allen, and Josh Allen lit them up for it. They paid for it. They didn't put any sort of pressure on Josh Allen, and they paid for it. You want to look at the penalties? 7 penalties for 45 yards. That was rough. I mean, they were undisciplined, lacked attention to detail. The fundamentals were gone. Their offensive line was not protecting Trevor Lawrence. They did not pressure at all on the defensive line. They weren't as physical. They got beat up on the line of scrimmage, and they just weren't moving the ball as effective. The Bills' defense were all over them as well. They had 3.5 yards per play. I mean, I'm naming stuff at this point. The problem with Jacksonville is they got to get back to the fundamentals. They forgot the fundamentals. They really did. If they have focused on attention to detail, because they got some talent on their team, if they can focus on attention to detail and go back to the fundamentals, then everything could be okay. They got to focus on being physical, lining up, and protecting Trevor Lawrence. That's one. Also, rush the quarterback. Blitz. They didn't blitz, rush, blitz, pressure the quarterback, get to him, get some sacks, because you can win some of those battles. You got Trayvon Walker on your defense, you got Josh Allen on the defensive end. You can do this. You can pressure them, but you're not doing it. That's the problem. You're not doing these things. You got a lot of guys on your team that you can do it with, and you're not doing it. I don't know. I just don't know what to say about Jacksonville. We'll see how they do coming up soon. Final score of this game was 47-10. There's really nothing else to say. That Jacksonville is not a good football team right now, and they need to work on attention to detail and work on everything. They need to work on everything. Start from the basics and work your way up if you have any chance to save the season. If you want to be completely honest, Jacksonville's got Houston Sunday. At Houston, big AFC South game coming up there. Bills, Sunday Night Football against the Ravens. We're covering that one. We'll discuss that one later on in the show. 47-10, Bills dominate the Jaguars. Okay. Last game for the week 3 recap before we go on to the injury report, and then we will do week 5 preview and predictions for this show. So, last game before we go to the injury report. It's a big injury report, so bear with me, but let's talk about this game. Oh, my Lord. That was the only game I was right on, by the way, because this game I was definitely wrong on. I picked the Bengals to win. They did not win. Final score, Commanders 38, Bengals 33. Commanders 38, Bengals 33. They went into the jungle and beat Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. Jaden freaking Daniels. Jaden freaking Daniels. That man, rookie out of LSU, number 2 overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, could win Offensive Rookie of the Year if he keeps playing the way he's playing. He put on a masterclass performance, not just by a rookie, by a professional quarterback in the National Football League. The man had more touchdowns than incompletions. He had, if you want to look at his stats, we can do it, 21 for 23. 2 incompletions the whole game. 254 yards, 2 touchdowns, 39 yards on the ground, a touchdown on the ground. So 3 total touchdowns, 290-plus yards total, 3 total touchdowns, and he completed 91% of his passes. 91% of his passes. That's unbelievable. That's elite, is what that is. That's elite. Caleb Williams isn't doing that. Bo Nix isn't doing that. Joe Burrow's not doing that. Josh Allen hadn't done that. Patrick Mahomes isn't doing that right now. But Jaden Daniels did it. Jaden Daniels did it this season. 91% of his passes were complete. Unbelievable. Player of the game by far. They couldn't stop him. He ran the ball well, got first downs, was very confident in throwing the deep ball, by the way. His first touchdown, was to Trent Scott, offensive lineman of the Washington Commanders. A trick play to Trent Scott. It was a slip pass to the end zone. He also had a 4-yard read option touchdown on the ground. Jaden Daniels was everywhere. Terry McLaurin had a touchdown. 100 yards on the ground on the receiving for Terry McLaurin. Luke McCaffrey played well. Zach Ertz, Noah Brown, Austin Eckler ruled out with a concussion. Hopefully he's going to be okay. But if you look at all these players as they got, I said that they didn't have any weapons, which they need more weapons. They do. They need more weapons up front, and they need more weapons around him. But McLaurin's good. McCaffrey's good. Ertz is good. And Brown, everybody's good. They just need a few more pieces to make a run. They really, really do. But they have the pieces. Monday proved that. Monday proved that they have the pieces. And not only that, they have the quarterback to do it. They have the quarterback to do it. They believe in this guy. That's what's so good about it. They were all rallying around Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels did what he did at LSU, and he brought it to the NFL, to the Commanders. He dropped dimes on the Bengals on defense. Now, the Bengals on offense did not play a bad football game, but Jaden Daniels was just better. Now, Jamar Chase had a good game. Joe Burrow had a better game. They played well on offense, but the defense was kind of non-existent. I don't know where the defense was in this game. They didn't pressure Jaden Daniels as much. Jaden Daniels dropped back, launched the football on him. Terry McLaurin connected with him. It was just a masterclass performance by Jaden Daniels. They could not stop Daniels at all. If you want to look at this team's stats, Commanders had 3 penalties, no turnovers. They won the time of possession. Did they get sacked? Yes. They were perfect. 100%, 3 for 3 on 4th down conversions. They won on 4th down. Jaden Daniels was so confident, he said, dude, let's go for it on 4th down. Dan Quinn and Cliff Kingsbury, okay. The Bengals were talking garbage before this game. Cam Taylor-Britt was talking trash about Jaden Daniels and the simple college offense that he was running. And did not work out because that simple college offense hurt him, and he buried him. He buried him with McLaurin. He buried him through the run. He buried him through the air. Jaden Daniels put on a masterclass elite performance Monday. He is the talk-about player in the league right now as a rookie right now. 3rd game of his career, 91% completion percentage in a game, total game. 3 for 3 on 4th down, 100%. Very efficient on 3rd down. They went on 3rd down. They kept drives going. That offense was elite, hot under Jaden Daniels, and they moved the ball well under Cliff Kingsbury's offense. Very good game for the Commanders. They're 2-1 as they play the Cardinals Sunday. That'll be a fun game. Cardinals, Cliff Kingsbury going back to Arizona, former head coach of the Cardinals, now the OC of the Commanders. That ought to be a fun game. Both of them. I think let's see, both 1-2, the Cardinals, 2-1, the Commanders. tied for first in the NFC East. The Commanders right now ought to be a fun shootout game in Arizona this coming up Sunday. So Commanders and Cardinals ought to be a fun one. But Jaden Daniels, absolute masterclass. Running game with Brian Robinson. The running game with Austin Eckler is pretty solid too. That defense played well. They pressured Joe Burrow well as well. Burrow and all of them, they were really, really good on offense too. They were efficient on third down. That defense was really, really good. Bobby Wagner played a really good game for the Commanders defense as well. They were very physical on defense, and they played a lights-out game there on defense as well. But Daniels was the talk of the town. The Commanders beat the Bengals 38-33. Best performance I've seen in a long time, hands down. Final score of this game was 38-33. We're going to talk about the Bengals, but the Commanders looked really, really good under Jaden Daniels. I am really, really high on Daniels. I've always been high on Jaden Daniels. Was high on him last year when I was covering him in college. Now, I'm high on him now in the NFL. 38-33. Commanders go on to face the Cardinals Sunday in what should be a very underrated game of Sunday with offensive scoring there. So that was the Commanders recap. Let's talk about the Bengals really quick. And how I started off the episode was, it's not a time to panic. Don't panic yet, but be urgent. Now's the time to be urgent. The Bengals offense didn't look bad. You're going to think, dude, what are you talking about? Let's look at the offense. Burrow, 324 yards, 3 touchdowns. Zach Moss had a touchdown. Jamar Chase had 2 touchdowns. Andre Ossavias had a touchdown as well, turning into a real Tyler Boyd type slot threat for Joe Burrow. They had 3 touchdowns in the game. Chase played really well with 118 yards. Burrow had 324 yards. The offense was better, and they were attacking downfield and more aggressive. So I will give the Bengals that. They were more aggressive on offense. They lost Trent Brown for the season due to a knee injury. We're going to talk about that on the injury report. Tough loss for the offensive line. They have Amarius Mims replacing him. Amarius Mims is a solid replacement, so the O-line needs to step up in big ways now that Trent Brown is out. Tough loss for the O-line. Higgins made a big difference in this game, even just coming back. Even though he had 39 yards, he was still a big difference on third down for this team. Offense looked really, really good. They ran the ball a tiny bit better as well. They had 124 yards on the ground. It just wasn't enough to beat this team. 312 through the air. They averaged more yards per play than the Commanders did. Sacks were, 2 sacks were allowed. The penalties killed the Bengals. I think the penalties killed them. They had 5 penalties. Well, not too bad killed them, but you know what I mean. 5 penalties. I think Jaden Daniels was just better and performed a masterclass of performance against this defense. The defense was nowhere to be seen. I think the offense wasn't the issue in this game. Play calling was a lot better. The offense was in sync a lot better. If they continue down that road, they will be a team to watch out for. Offensively, the Bengals will be, but if the defense continues down that road, then there's an issue. There was barely any defense to be found. No pressure on Jaden. They didn't pressure him. They didn't try. They played a lot of cover zero. It didn't work. A lot of it wasn't good on defense. And the defense the tackling was there. They just couldn't stop anybody. They really couldn't stop a lot. And I think that was the problem in this game. Jaden Daniels just was too good and almost too perfect in this game to be stopped, and that's what cost them the football game. Remember on Elf, the movie Elf, when the elf, he was making the toys, and he only made like about 85 Etch-a-Sketches, and he said he called himself a cotton-headed mini muggins, yeah. And if you love Christmas, you'll love that. You love that movie. I love that movie. Go and watch it for Christmas, please. But he called himself a cotton-headed mini muggins, and then the elf said, "No, you're not a cotton-headed mini muggins. You're just special." So, and then he overheard the 2 elves, the guy that said he was special, and another elf talking. Buddy heard him, and he says, if he doesn't realize he's a human by now, I don't think he'll ever will. And then he started getting the flashbacks, and he started saying, if you don't look so good, buddy, are you okay? Because the other elf came up to Buddy because he started hearing the Jack in the Box that he had trouble with, and he started hearing, if you don't realize he's a human by now, I don't think you ever will. And he said, and then the other elf, before Buddy passed out on him and landed on top of him, he said, you don't look so good, buddy. Are you okay? He said he needed a glass of water, and he passed out. Funny, all for laughs. But I'm the elf asking the Cincinnati Bengals right now, you don't look so good, Cincinnati. Are you okay? I am the spectator asking the Bengals that right now. You don't look so good, Bengals. Are you okay? I think the defense is a big cause of concern. I think that the big thing right there is the defense right now. The offense, if they keep playing the way they're playing, they're fine. They need to get a little bit better at play calling on offense, sure. But I think the offense played well. I think the defense is what cost them this game. They just really didn't rush Jaden. They didn't stop him. They really couldn't stop him because Jaden Daniels was going off. But you know what I mean. They didn't really do the necessary. They didn't even try to stop him, at least. And I think that's a problem. Also, mentally, they're talking a lot of trash off the field, and they don't need to do that. So, no trash talk. None of that. Focus on winning the ball game. That's a big problem. I think the mental state right now between the Cincinnati Bengals going into these games is they're talking trash, and they don't need to be. So they're talking trash about defenses and all this. We can beat this team. They're not better than us. You're 0-3. I don't think the time now is to be talking. I think the time for talking is to settle down, and you need to back it up. And I mean it, like back it up. I mean, if you're going to talk your talk, but back it up. I would win and then talk your talk. You know what I mean? Win, then talk your talk. Final score was 38-30. Bengals need to do something. Do not panic, but be urgent. You got to be urgent. So that is my week 3 recap of all the games there between all these games. We're going to go over the week 4 preview predictions here in a little bit. Let's discuss who's in and who's out with a Pigskin Frenzy NFL injury report right now quickly. A lot of these on the list, and then we will discuss the week 4 top matchups for this week. So kicking off the injury report right now, Rams wide receiver Cooper Kupp is out Sunday versus Chicago Bears Sunday due to an ankle injury. So due to an ankle injury, he is out. He's still out. He will not play versus the Bears. Tough break there. They are still missing a key part of that receiving core, along with Puka Nacua. Thoughts and prayers go out to Cooper Kupp, and hope he makes a speedy recovery. In other news for the Chicago Bears, Keenan Allen is back at practice, and he could return Sunday versus the Rams. So his heel injury is healing up nicely. Caleb Williams can get his veteran receiver back in the lineup, and he is making he's on track to return Sunday versus the Rams. So good news for Keenan Allen in this one. Panthers wide receiver Adam Thielen will go on IR due to a hamstring injury and will miss 4 games. So tough break for Andy Dalton and the Carolina Panthers there. Big part of their receiving core gone. He will be missed due to that hamstring injury. Thoughts and prayers go out to him, and hopefully he heals quickly. Big part of their receiving core gone with Adam Thielen being out on IR due to that hamstring injury. Other good news for the Carolina Panthers, though, rookie running back Jonathan Brooks is close to making his return on the field. He could return Sunday. We don't know, but he's close to making his return on the field. So good news to report. He tore his ACL when he was at Texas last November. He is close to making his return and being 100% on the field coming up soon. So good news to report for Jonathan Brooks being back on the field for the Carolina Panthers and getting involved in the running game in that offense. So some news out of the New Orleans Saints. Center Eric McCoy will be out 6 to 8 weeks due to groin surgery. Thoughts and prayers are with him. Hopefully he heals up quickly and he's going to be okay. Big tough break below to the offensive line and under center for Derek Carr and the Saints as they lose him due to groin injury and groin surgery. So thoughts and prayers are with him, and hopefully he heals quickly. Bengals lose Trent Brown. He's out for the season due to a patellar tendon tear. He will have surgery, and hopefully the surgery is successful. We're going to pray that he makes a speedy recovery and pray for him in general. Hopefully he gets back sooner than later. Tough break for the Bengals and a deep blow to that offensive line. It was a big part of that line. Hopefully Amarius Mims steps up in a big way for Joe Burrow because they need that protection. Joe Burrow definitely needs that protection. The 49ers, latest news, they keep getting blown up by injuries. Brock Purdy, day-to-day considered for back soreness. He most likely will play Sunday, but he is hurt. Debo will most likely miss this week. Javon Hargrave on the D-line now will miss the rest of the season due to a torn triceps. Did not need that. Big blow to the D-line. Thoughts and prayers are with Javon Hargrave, and hopefully he comes back sooner rather than later, makes a speedy recovery. George Kittle, he missed last week's game versus the Rams. Hopefully he is hopeful to return to practice this week, and he is hopefully and questionable to return this Sunday against the Patriots coming up. So hopefully we'll get some updates on that from the 49ers injury news. Christian McCaffrey is visiting a specialist in Germany due to his ankle tendonitis and due to his calf injuries, and hopefully he will be back around October or maybe even November. So thoughts and prayers with everybody on the 49ers injuries, and hopefully they make speedy recoveries as well. Cardinals defensive tackle Justin Jones will miss the rest of the season due to a torn triceps. Thoughts and prayers are with him. They lose a big part of that D-line. Justin Jones, big part of that D-line. He will miss the rest of the season due to that torn triceps. Hopefully he makes a speedy recovery, and we are praying for him to get better quickly. So tough blow to the Cardinals defensive line. Going to the Lions now. Lions defensive end Marcus Davenport may miss the rest of the season due to an elbow injury. Thoughts and prayers to Marcus Davenport. Tough break for them. They have Aiden Hutchinson still, but big blow as another edge rusher is now out for the season for the Lions, and big part of that defensive line gone for the rest of the season. Tough break there for them. Thoughts and prayers are with Marcus Davenport, and hopefully he makes a speedy recovery. Lions O-line, big blow here. Frank Ragnow will miss time due to a torn pec, but it should not be season ending, which is good news. Hopefully he'll be back later on in the season. Thoughts and prayers are with him, though. Hopefully he makes a speedy recovery and gets back in time for the season. Man, they don't need any more injuries on the O-line. Thoughts and prayers to the Lions there. Lions tight end Sam Laporta suffered a knee sprain versus the Cardinals last Sunday, and he is considered day-to-day. So hopefully he will be back and ready to go for the game Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football. So speaking of the Cardinals, tight end Trey McBride took a hit with Brian Branch. He suffered a concussion in that game. He most likely could miss this week. Thoughts and prayers are with him. Hopefully he does good as well. And tough break for the Cardinals offense as well, with Trey McBride being out as well. The Falcons O-line took a hit this past Sunday. Falcons O-line Caleb McGarry suffered a sprained MCL versus the Chiefs last week and could miss some time. And Falcons center Drew Dahlman suffered a high ankle sprain versus the Chiefs Sunday and could miss some time as well. So thoughts and prayers are with those two guys. Hopefully that they get back sooner rather than later, and hopefully they heal quick. So thoughts and prayers are with them. Last but not least, Commanders running back Austin Eckler will not play versus Cardinals Sunday due to a concussion suffered versus the Bengals. We will keep monitoring him. He will miss this game Sunday. But thoughts and prayers are with him, and hopefully he heals quickly and he gets back to the team very, very soon. So no really new updates on Jordan Love and Russell Wilson. We will keep you up to date on those on X, and we will keep everybody up to date and ready for it on X as well. So that is really our Pigskin NFL injury report list. Thoughts and prayers with everybody on this list, and hopefully everybody makes a speedy recovery and is ready to play soon for the NFL season. Let's go to our Week 4 preview and predictions for our top matchups for Week 4. Preview and prediction time to conclude Pigskin Frenzy here today. Let's kick it off with Saints at Falcons. Saints at Falcons, early game, 1 Eastern, 12 noon Central kick. Saints at Falcons, 2-1, at Falcons, 1-2. Can the Falcons bounce back after a tough loss to the Chiefs? Can the Saints bounce back after a close and tough loss to the Philadelphia Eagles. The Saints' keys are pretty simple. Let's start off fast. That's number one. Start off fast, score fast, get down the field fast, make it 7-0 fast, and just, score some points early and get that wave of momentum back. I think that if you start off fast, kind of like you did in your first couple of games against the Panthers and the Cowboys, you got this. So start off fast if you're the New Orleans Saints. Number two, use Alvin Kamara on the ground more. Just use him on the ground more, man. If you use him on the ground more, then everything will be fine, right? Use him on the ground more. Everything's going to be good. Run the ball more, and that is going to spell some doom for the Falcons this coming up Sunday. Number two, stop Atlanta on third down. Atlanta currently in the league is 29th in third down efficiency. That's not the best. They have to stop them on third down. If you stop them on third down and make the Falcons miss and don't continue their drives, and then you capitalize on that by scoring, there's no way. It's easy money, easy football. The Saints can win this football game. The Falcons' keys for success are simple here. Number one, win on third down. They're currently 29th. Let's up that rate. Win on third down, can capitalize on those drives and get points out of it. Win on third down against a highly octane team in the New Orleans Saints. Number two, put pressure on Derek Carr. If you put pressure on Derek Carr, make him play a little inconsistent, take away the running game, take away some of his playmakers, and put some pressure on him, you have a shot at winning this ball game at home against the New Orleans Saints in this key divisional game. Number three, win the time of possession battle. And don't let the Saints get on the field. Win the time of possession battle. The Eagles did a really good job of that. They stayed on the field, and they didn't let the Saints get on the field. So that's another thing that I missed earlier when recapping that Week 3 recap with the Saints and the Eagles. Time of possession. If you keep the Saints off the field and win the time of possession battle, then you have it. Then you got it. Win the time of possession battle. That's a big-time key and a big-time victory for the Falcons if they can achieve that. Those are the keys for both teams. Big-time game coming up. Big-time NFC South divisional game coming up. Who do I have winning this ball game Sunday? I think it's going to be close. Right now, the Falcons are not showing me right now the third down willingness. They're not winning on third down. It's kind of a thing for me right now that's kind of bugging me. I think the Saints stop them on third down a lot. I think that the Saints score, and I think that Alvin Kamara is used on the ground. I think the Saints will go into Atlanta and defeat them and win this game. Do I think it's going to be close? Yes. Do I think Atlanta will win a little bit more on third down? I do, but I think they'll still be a little bit far behind the Saints in this one. Give me the Saints beating the Falcons in this one, going 3-1, and the Falcons going 1-3. Saints defeating the Falcons. Saints 21. Falcons 17. Saints 21, Falcons 17 in this game. Give me the Saints defeating the Falcons and moving to 3-1. Saints go to 3-1. Falcons go to 1-3. Saints defeat the Falcons 21-17 in this game. Next game up, Eagles at Bucks. Eagles at Buccaneers. Playoff rematch from last year. The Buccaneers defeated the Eagles 32-9 in that playoff game in Tampa Bay. Big time rematch coming up here. Different play callers this go around for the Eagles. Let's see how they can do against the Bucks. Coming off of a fresh win against New Orleans. The Bucks coming off of a huge loss at home against the Denver Broncos. Let's see if they can keep up that momentum against the against the Bucks. So, number one for the Eagles, minimize the penalties. 7 penalties was a lot. That was a lot of penalties. Minimize the penalties. Clean up those penalties, and you should be good. I mean, a lot of penalties. So, minimize the penalties, clean them up. Everything should be fine if you minimize those penalties. So you minimize those, everything's good. Number two, establish the rushing attack with Saquon Barkley and even Jalen Hurts. If you run the ball with them, it's going to spell a recipe for disaster for the Buccaneers if you run the ball efficiently, and it is. Philadelphia currently in the league is third in rushing offense right now. So rushing offense currently third in the NFL. Run the ball with Barkley. Let him go off. If you let Hurts go off on the ground too, the Eagles can find a way to win this game if they win efficiently. Number three, just like they did against the Saints, win the time of possession battle. Don't let the Bucs get on the field. Win the time of possession battle, and then you'll be fine for holding on to the ball, running the ball efficiently, and cleaning up those penalties, and then you should be fine against the Bucs Sunday. So, Number one for the Buccaneers, and a big key here, is win the time of possession battle. Just like I said for the Eagles key. If you keep them off the field, don't let them run the ball as well, you'll be fine, right? You'll be fine. So, number one, win the time of possession battle, and don't let that offense get on the field. So, don't let Saquon Barkley see the field as much. If you do that, the Bucs will win this ball game. Number two, force turnovers on defense. Tampa Bay currently right now is 27th in defense in the league. I know that. They are not the best in numbers on defense right now, but if they can get a few turnovers and force a few turnovers, they can have a shot at winning this ball game. Number three, protect Baker Mayfield. 7 sacks allowed against the Broncos last week. That's a big no-no. Big no-no against the Broncos last week at home. Protect Baker Mayfield, minimize the sacks, protect him, let him have time to throw the ball. If he does that, the Bucs can do some damage and win this ball game. So, who do I got winning this football game Sunday? I think it's going to be back and forth. The Buccaneers are going to put in a way better effort. I do think that the Eagles are going to run the ball, though. I think Saquon's going to be a problem. I got the Eagles winning this ball game against the Bucs. Give me the Eagles defeating the Bucs, and the Eagles going to 3-1, and the Bucs going to 2-2. Eagles 24, Buccaneers 21. Eagles 24, Buccaneers 21. 3-point field goal game. Eagles 24, Buccaneers 21. Eagles go to 3-1. Buccaneers go to 2-2. Eagles defeat the Bucs. Eagles 24, Bucs 21. Give me the Eagles beating the Buccaneers. Sunday Night Football. Again, because why not? Because these September Sunday Night Football games have been awesome. So, Bills at Ravens. Bills are 3-0. Ravens are 1-2. Ravens are coming off of a huge win that they needed against Dallas. In Dallas, they almost blew it, though. Almost blew it against the Dallas Cowboys. 28-6, and they finished the game 28-5. Don't let that happen. Bills undefeated. Pretty much right now, like I said earlier, the number one team currently in the NFL, if you want to be real. Number one for the Bills, keys for here. Something's got to give in Baltimore Sunday Night Football on NBC. Let's go. 8:20 Eastern, 7:20 Central kick. Number one for the Bills. Start off fast. Start off fast like you did against the Jacksonville Jaguars. If you start off fast, score fast, down the field, you will be pretty much have a successful night. Number one, start off fast. Number two, don't let Baltimore's running game get going. So sort of like the Philadelphia Eagles with the Bucs. Don't let the running game get going for Baltimore. Baltimore is currently second in rushing offense in the league with Derrick Henry, with Lamar Jackson. Don't let them get going on the ground. Big key there. Do not let them get going on the ground as much. If you neutralize and slow down that running game, you should have no trouble winning this game, probably. Number three, find a way to rattle Lamar Jackson. Buffalo currently is tied with Chicago at 8th in defense in the NFL. If you find a way to pressure Lamar Jackson, force him some deep waters, make him turn the ball over, you should be fine in this football game. So that's my 3 keys for the Buffalo Bills here to beat the Baltimore Ravens. Number 3 keys for the Ravens here to win this game. Number 1, clean up those penalties. Because, my Lord, those penalties were something against the Cowboys, weren't they? My goodness. Let's go into those penalties. The Ravens had, on my notes, 13 penalties for 105 yards. Almost cost them the game when they almost let them win. 13 penalties, 105 yards. Clean up those penalties because the Bills will capitalize on that and will win the ball game that way. So capitalize on that. You'll be fine. They had 274 yards of the ground last game. So you can see where I'm going with number 2. Minimize the penalties. And number 2, let the running game get going. Put up some strong numbers with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and run the ball with Justice Hill. You'll be fine, man. Run the ball good. You will be good if you run the ball this Sunday. Number 2, don't let Buffalo start off fast. If you let them start off fast like they did against Jacksonville, it's not going to go pretty for you. So slow them down. Don't let them start off hot. You start off hot by getting the ground game going. Clean up those penalties, and you should be fine against Buffalo at home Sunday night. Good, tight ball game we're going to expect Sunday night. Who do I have winning this ball game? I think it's going to be back and forth. I think it will be close. I think that the running game is going to get going, but I think that there's some trouble within the O-line. The O-line just needs to be a little bit more experienced. I think the Buffalo Bills find a way to get to Lamar Jackson, pressure him a little bit because that D-line has been pretty nasty so far this season. I think that the defense finds a way to get going. I think Josh Allen finds a way to get going, and I think the Bills come up with a win here late in the game. I'm going to go by a score of 34-28. Bills 34, Ravens 28. Bills defeat the Ravens. Ravens go to 1-3. Bills go to 4-0 and defeat the Ravens in Baltimore and win this game. So 4-0 Bills, 34 Bills, Ravens 28. Ravens go to 1-3. Bills go to 4-0. The Bills defeat the Ravens in Sunday Night Football. Last game before we conclude today's episode of Pigskin Frenzy. Here we go. Seahawks at Lions, Monday Night Football. You said I don't do a Monday Night Football game. Well, I'm doing it. Not the doubleheader, though, this week. But Seahawks at Lions. The Seahawks have been surprising me. They are 3-0. Geno Smith's coming unglued. I don't know what's happening. I keep saying he's first team all Big East because he was back in 2011, 2012. The Lions, still a physical football team. The Seahawks defense has been absolutely nasty. So something's got to give here in Detroit, Ford Field on ABC and ESPN Plus. 8:15 Eastern. 7:15 Central kick on Monday night, ABC, ESPN Plus. The Seahawks keys are pretty simple in this game. Protect the football. Do not do any turnovers. Don't let Geno Smith turn the ball over. You don't need to turn the ball over. If you do, not going to be good because the Lions can capitalize on that. Lions are really, really good at capitalizing on opportunities like that. Protect the football. Number 2, minimize the penalties. Penalties were really high last week. Don't commit those many penalties again. If you're the Seattle Seahawks, when it came to penalties, not the best. I'm not going to lie. 11 penalties for 92 yards. Don't commit as many penalties, and you should be fine. Number 3, just pressure Jared Goff. Find a way to rattle Jared Goff and put some pressure on Jared Goff. Seattle currently is second in defense in this league behind Derek Hall on the defensive line. With Trice Young, this defense is nasty. Devin Witherspoon in the secondary. Defense is nasty. Find a way to pressure Jared Goff, force him into some deep waters, and this defense can, if they drown him, they can win this ball game. It's currently second in the league in defense right now. The Lions' keys are pretty simple. Number 1, minimize the penalties. Clean up the penalties. You'll be fine. Not so good in penalties right now. Keep the penalties at a low number, and you should be good. Number 2, win on third down. If you can win on third down on this defense, solid game. You have a solid game ahead of you if you can win on third down against this defense. That's a big key there. Number 3, put pressure on Geno Smith and force some turnovers. If you put some pressure on Geno Smith, get some sacks with Aiden Hutchinson, force some turnovers, be physical with him, then the Lions will knock that O off of the Seattle Seahawks record in this ball game. So, who do I have winning this ball game? I think it's going to be close, back and forth. You're going to be surprised by this one. I think that right now, despite the Lions being very physical, I think they can win this game because I was conflicted on this one before I got on the show. I think that they can afford to drop this one early. I really do. I think they can afford to drop this one early. I think the Seahawks find a way to get it done. I really do. I think Seahawks win this ball game. I think the defense is going to be a little bit too much right now for them. I think that they're going to be a little bit more physical in this game. They're a little bit more hungry on the D-line. They're going to find a way to win this game. I think DK Metcalf's going to help out Geno Smith in the receiving game. I think they win this game late. Final score of this game, Seattle Seahawks 24, Lions 14. I think it's going to be a 10-point win. Seahawks 24, Lions 14. So it's somewhat close. I think it's going to be close on the field, but I think they get a late score, make it 24-14. Seahawks 24, Lions 14. Seahawks go to 4-0. Lions go to 2-2. 2-2, yes. Lions go to 2-2. Seahawks go to 4-0. Seahawks defeat the Lions 24-14. I think the Seahawks get them because of that defense late and a late touchdown from Smith to Metcalf. So Seahawks defeat the Lions 24-14, and they get the Lions and go to 4-0. Oh, that just about does it for Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Thank you for joining us here and taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some NFL coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below, Spotify, Podbean, and Apple. All you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X, Instagram, and Facebook, just type in Pigskin Frenzy. Follow like the pages there. You're going to get episode updates. You're going to get news and highlights from across college and NFL football. You're going to get trivia questions on Instagram stories. Go and answer today's NFL question as well as all things with the date for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, check out the website www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you'll find all things to date for Pigskin Frenzy. Big thank you for tuning in today. We will be back Tuesday for another college football edition of Pigskin Frenzy. Week 5 recap of college football, and we will preview the top matchups for week 6. We're going to recap that Georgia-Bama game, and it's going to be awesome. Week 5 recap and Week 6 preview and predictions for college football this coming up Tuesday. And until Tuesday, I'm Joel Norris signing off. Enjoy tonight's game between the Cowboys and the Giants in MetLife on Amazon Prime. As always, stay the course. Have a great rest of your Thursday. Enjoy the weekend and enjoy this slate of games coming up this weekend. Again, signing off. As always, stay the course.